Once you jump over the rail or the ledge, the magic is all in that opposite shoulder from which foot you're grinding with. It's going to be the center point looking straight down the rail. And if that shoulder is too far gone, there's really not going to be any chance of landing this trick.
We're rolling. Welcome to
Roll Minnesota.
You're watching Roll Minnesota.
You're watching Roll Minnesota.
Minnesota seal of approval.
We're watching Roll Minnesota.
Subscribe.
Hey everybody, what's up from Roll Minnesota, your state of skate? Butch Lehman here today out at the garage, and today I'm going to teach you all how to fishbrain grind. Now, fishbrain is a very aesthetically pleasing grind. It's also one that's not too difficult to do, but it does have some nuance to it that we need to go over. So we're going to get the skates on, get warmed up, and then it's fishbrain time. Let's get it. All right, for those of you that are just learning fishbrains, this is one of the topside grinds, and it's probably the most difficult of the regular variants of topsides. And I would recommend getting really good at some of the other topsides first. Topsole is probably the easiest for most people. For me personally, it's the topside porn star. Top acid is probably the one that's most like doing a fishbrain, then you just pull that foot off. So we'll start out with those and get acclimated to the box. I recommend you do as well. Learn those topsides, and then we'll take it to fishbrain. All right guys, now that we got the top sides under control, really consistent at those, we're ready to take it up to the fishbrain grind. And this one is gonna have a couple unique features to it. So one of the things that makes fishbrain a more difficult grind than the other top sides is, for one thing, it's only one foot, and you really want to grab that other foot if you're going to maximize the aesthetics of it, because that's really what makes it look great, is when you pull that other foot over. The second thing though is the body positioning, and this is difficult for a lot of people. Most beginning skaters will jump too far over the rail or the obstacle to one of two negative outcomes. Either they'll be rolling on their top side, or they'll miss the rail entirely, and that's when your foot slides out and when you end up falling. So what you'll want to do is make sure that your top side approaching this just like you would with any other top side grind. For me personally, I like to take a little bit of an angle, not a lot, but just a little bit into the fishbrain. That puts your body over top of it. And then the second step is absolutely crucial. But we also want to make sure that that outside shoulder is right over top of the rail, right over top of the ledge. Together, those two pieces are the key that can unlock the fishbrain. Just a personal preference of mine, but I really like to come out fakey on the fishbrain, especially as you're pulling that other foot around. It just sort of happens naturally. And that way you can really stomp it and get that juice meter elevated. It's a thing of beauty. All right, so obviously skating ledges, boxes, rails are going to feel a lot different than skating quarter pipes or other forms of transition. Now personally, I think these are a little bit easier. Maybe a little bit safer is the better word when your foot slips out. But at any rate, it is a very different feel, and this one is all about the angle. It's all about the parallel carve into the grind. So once again, you're gonna wanna start with regular top sides, maybe a topsole, top acid, sweat stance for those of you that feel like that's a safe trick. I don't know what's wrong with you if you do, but start with those and then work your way in to the fishbrain. That's what we'll tackle next. If you're used to skating rails or other elevated obstacles, you might find a unique challenge in quarter pipes, and that they're a bit more flat on top. It's almost more like a ledge. However, I do think this is a little bit easier because you can approach it with that parallel carve and work your way into it. Generally, it's a bit more forgiving for most people as well, because when you do fall, you can either slide down into transition or just land up on top of the quarter pipe. Either way, it's gonna take a few bumps onto the shins and to the butt bone, but that's rollerblading, right? Fishbrains are significantly more difficult on square ledges, on angle iron, and I have a whole different video I'm in the process of making for doing top sides on ledges, so you guys will have to stick around for that one. But for now, we'll take it over to the A-frame box, and this time, we gotta jump from flat. So a fishbrain grind up this A-frame box is going to be a bit more challenging. For one, it's grinding up an obstacle, it's a longer hold, but but also there's the added difficulty of having to jump immediately after dropping in on the quarter pipe. There's not a lot of room here in this garage. Having said that, all of the same rules that we've learned earlier should apply to an obstacle even like this. You probably saw it, but this is a mistake a lot of beginners make, is when they're jumping into the obstacle, they're landing flat on top. And that's never going to work for long-term balance because, again, that outside shoulder needs to pivot to the inside. That's what's going to put and transfer the body weight to where it needs to be so that you can hold the grind, but also maintain the top side lock-in. That way you're not rolling or coming over on the wrong side. We don't want any lava landings. So we're gonna try this again, and I'm gonna pay careful attention to where that outside shoulder is, pulling it over, making sure to lock in on the top side. Well guys, we did it. We landed some fish brains here today, and like I was saying, this is a difficult trick to learn for a lot of beginners, but once you have it, it unlocks the door for a lot of different variations. Also, it is one of the most visually pleasing tricks out there in inline skating, and I strongly suggest you all learn it. Now, if you're having difficulty finding that balance point, don't get discouraged. You can take it incrementally in baby steps. What I would personally recommend is if you're using a P-rail or a box like this one, is jump on top and let your other foot roll beside it. Then incrementally take your foot off until you've found that balance point. From there, you can start inserting the grab and the twist. And I think what you'll find is over time, it'll become increasingly comfortable and evident of exactly how you need to lock in. Like most things in life, just requires a little bit of practice. And that's it. We've conquered the fish brain grind. And what you'll want to do from here is practice to build that consistency. The more you work on a trick, the more that muscle memory builds, and the easier it becomes to know exactly where your body positioning needs to be. And that is something that's different for every trick and every type of obstacle. From there, once you build that consistency, you can start taking it into a variety of different directions, maybe spinning into the grind, or taking out an elevated, more difficult obstacle, or any other combination you can think of. And of course, if you guys have any additional tips or comments, leave them down in the comments below for me, as well as for the rest of the community. It's through that collective knowledge that hopefully we can all get a little bit better at this sport that we love. But anyway guys, hopefully you enjoyed this tutorial on how to do a fish brain grind. Like I said before, we'll have a top side grind tutorial on square obstacles and ledges coming for you soon. That's gonna wrap it up for this one. I'm Butch Lehman of Roll, Minnesota, reminding you all to stay safe, stay healthy, and get out there and work on those fish brains. We'll see y'all with the next video. Peace, everybody.